Doug Ford orders public sector hiring freeze, excluding essential frontline staff. More exciting news on the economic front in Canada with everything that's going on with the job market, real estate, immigration. Now, bless him. Now our blessed Doug Ford is hiring freezing for public agencies. There's about 143 public agencies employed for Ontario, I think, at least 143 or 140-ish, includes LCBO, Metrolinx, and stuff like that. But essentially, Ontario's incoming premier has put the public service under a hiring freeze as part of a series of measurements to meant to limit spending, and as he re-examines the province's books. This is raising some concerns amongst government workers. So I can tell you right now, Canada has an addiction to growing our GDP by just inflating government. And I think our team's going to put a little bit more into a more comprehensive piece on this, taking a look at our economy, how much investment goes into public sector hiring, what that does for growth specifically, but also, just the sentiment of Doug Ford and his team putting a hiring on freezing in Ontario, just because it looks like they're acknowledging that our debts are pretty substantial, even though I mean, I think our debt's like relatively lower compared to other provinces. But saying things like, here we are, the people of Ontario work hard for the money they expect their tax dollars to go to services we all depend on. We are also going to go line by line through government books to ensure value of money for the people of Ontario tax dollars. So I got to say, I've worked in government environments before in healthcare, and productivity is a dream. Most people who work in government work there because they just want a steady, reliable paycheck where they're not forced to get up and rise to the occasion, unless they're like, other you will have some people who in government who are diehards who are literally keeping our this a beautiful mess of a country together. But most of the time, you're going to find a lot of people working in government. They're there just to show up, collect a paycheck, go home, pay their mortgage, and then put their head under the covers and hope no one notices. So I can understand, this position on freezing. If you guys haven't seen me before, my name is Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto. So whenever we see an entity of any kind, be it a business or government organization, freezing hiring, it indicates either one of two things. Literally, they're just extremely bloated, and we're just like, we got to cut the fat. Like, guys, we're spending way too much on people here for almost no value creation, or we're considering alternative means to deliver results, services that might not necessarily be human driven, aka AI agents. So I'm super curious what's coming down the pipe. Dougie, you need some help on the AI frontier? Don't hesitate to schedule a discovery call with Peak Demand AI agency in Toronto. We'll help you, no problem. We got lots of ideas we can do in the public service sector, specifically for transit. You guys want to talk about transit in Toronto, especially even with the World Cup coming up? Oh, we got ideas. Multilingual phone agents and texting agents that can speak to visitors about all sorts of things. But aside from that lofty aspiration, just to witness our premier, talking about freezing hiring in government sector indicates to me, like, these guys are recognizing we're way too overextended on hiring people to work for the government that might not necessarily be growing our economy. And it's funny because, like, you see like what they're cutting back on. Cutbacks include ban on food, paper-based subscriptions. Like, what? Paper-based subscriptions? So like people are still subscribing to like newsletters that come in the mail and stuff like that. I remember this stuff when I was working in the public sector. It's like, we spend money on the darndest things in the Canadian government. And it's funny because the reaction from government workers is, oh no, I'm afraid they're making cuts. I might lose my job. instead of proactively thinking this might not be the best place for me to establish my career for the next 5, 10 years. Maybe I should consider, finding a new skill, finding a new sector or industry to work in, or trying to make more money elsewhere. People in Canada, we're so used to, oh, government, we're here, we're going to hire you, we're going to pay you a nice wage so you can pay your mortgage. And that's like very apparent not going to be uh, the most viable option for a the government because they're literally freezing, but b just Canadians. We can't rely on these sort of safety nets that we've been relying on for decades. And it's so funny, like my mother especially, she's like, Alex, get insurance, use our healthcare system, use this, use that, fall back on these systems, do this. And I'm just like, this is a mentality of, and God bless her, I love my parents, but this is the mentality of adults, immigrants who've just relied on the systems around them to, you know, come up and grow and build their place in the world. And then as as my generation, millennials, we became adults, we realized, uh hello? Is anyone there? Is anyone there to help us? No. We sort of have to be the ones to pull our bootstraps up and be like, hey, this is some weak shit that you guys have going here, and it's made you soft. We're going to start some businesses, and we're going to learn digital skills, and we're going to do this right so we can actually just survive. So, and it's just funny to see like the mentality change across generations, across sectors. I truly believe, they're in government. We have some of the hardest working people, but then at the same time, some of the softest and lowest low productivity people that you can imagine. I've seen them. I literally worked beside them to the point where my manager was giving me their work because they knew I would do it faster, better, and stronger than they would. And they were just, and I wouldn't complain about it. I was a young guy. I was like, holy shit, I have a job. I can get money. Yeah, give you all the work you can. But you're not going to get someone who is so having so much initiative and energy to do your entry level stuff. I mean, I didn't pursue a career in government. Clearly, there's the upward ceiling in that environment is and not the highest. So, and another interesting part is like when government workers, they see cuts, they're like, well, am I going to be able to do my job? Am I going to be able to have my job? It's my job, my salary. Well, what's going to happen to me? And it's just like you have to start thinking about the place that's employing you and seeing if it's and looking through that entity's eyes at you and saying, is it worth keeping you on board? Do you have the skills that we find valuable enough to shoot up the ladder or laterally across departments? Or are you literally just sitting here hoping to God no one notices that you're not doing anything? So I do truly believe that the public sector does need a reorganization, or definitely a reskilling, because a lot of the issues that we face in this country are born out of skill issues. So let's continue reading. Worried about being able to do their job, the head of Ontario Public Service Employees Union said that he's not surprised by the decision to suspend hiring, but has concerns how it may affect services and the 34,000 public sector workers in the union represent. OPSEU's president, Warren Smokey Thomas, said his phone was lighting up on Monday with calls from worried members. So literally, like first reaction, is just a news event, is union workers calling their union rep and saying, oh, am I going to have a job? Guys, we got to stop thinking like this. We have to stop thinking I have to rely on someone else to pay my bills so I can survive. Upgrade your skills. Start a business. No one's responsible for you here in this country. And that's one thing that my you can tell the early part of my career was very independent. But I've learned a level of resilience, discipline, willpower, perseverance. Some people call it grit, to be able to manage on my own and bring others on. Like you do gain skills, you get powerful enough where you can start to help others. And I tell these guys the same thing: don't rely on me. You need to go out and you need to be the man who puts food on your table for your people. So I really want to break us away from this mentality of always relying on the hand that feeds you and sort of go out and hunt for yourself. People want to know, am I going to get laid off? Am I still going to be doing the work of 3 people because my unit's been short 2 people? He said they're just worried about being able to do their job. Nah, I don't think it is, because I really truly believe once AI starts to pervade some of these public sector environments, like you're gonna see super producers, rise to the top. Like everyone at peak, you can't work at peak demand in this agency unless you're a super producer. Like that's the bottom line. There's no there's no room, or it's not fiscally feasible, economically feasible for us to have anyone on the team who is not a super producer, just because of how difficult the environment is. So when I see people complaining that they have to do the job of 2, 3 people, that's just the way it is. Sorry, I'm doing the job of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people, and then I also have team members, and I want them to do the job of 2, 3, 4, 5 people, but they're all using AI, so they can. It's called productivity. He said questions remain about who will be exempt from the freeze and how long will it last. You have people who retire, people who got new jobs, people who leave. That all impacts frontline services. When you when you got to a Service Ontario counter, and if 2 people there have retired and they don't replace them, well, that's less frontline service. So maybe we could clean up the language here, CBC, a little bit, make it more legible. Um, you know, I agree, but also frontline service counters for Service Ontario, I 100% believe a lot of their operations can be managed by AI, or at least a lot of the preambles that would lead up to them needing to go to a service counter. Like, really need to evolve here, guys. Thomas said he sent forward a letter last week asking for a meeting and reminding him of a promise not to lay off any workers in his belt tightening efforts, but he said Premier Designate has yet to take him up on the offer. So I can tell you right now, government in Canada, the jobs are going to, I mean, even with a new AI refresh, like the Canadian government has to look at its own sustainability and ask itself, hey, are we going to be able to operate in this way by just hiring public workers in Canada and just making everyone work for the government and not creating any value or economic movement through our or financial movement through our economy? Or are we going to have to bite the bullet and try something else? And I think this is them biting the bullet and saying, let's freeze hiring to start. Let's wait a few months, and let's introduce a plan for some AI. I truly believe that's what's happening, especially with the um, the AI recent AI conference with Evan Sullivan, the AI minister. Like public sector across the board, we're going to be seeing evolution of AI agents being interwoven into Canadian systems at the public level. But that means that a lot of people who are currently in public sector roles are going to have to either reskill, or they're going to be watching their job answering the phone to direct phone lines go to an AI agent. Like everyone needs to pull up their boots, or everyone needs to pull up their socks and tighten their boots for what's coming, because it's not just a couple industries, a couple sectors that are getting affected by technology and the economy and where we're at. It's quite literally going to be across the board, full transformation, going from Squirtle to uh, Charmander, Charizard. It's going to be like a complete Pokemon evolution. I can't remember my Pokemon too well, but we need to be conscious of that. Let's see what else we got going on here. They're doing an audit of current spend. How many times have these audits, told us, "Oh yeah, we're spending too much," but then we do nothing. But this guy's even saying, what a political science professor from Hamilton McMaster University, he's saying that making the announcement is a fairly effective strategy to make it seem like you're doing something, even when it's kind of clear that it's not really that well thought through just yet. Putting a hiring freeze on and not having a follow-on plan it's like having your receptionist quit and not having an AI backup agent for that moment. Like, don't let that happen. A hiring freeze is kind of a classic way of saying you're going to be saving money by shrinking the size of the public sector, but it's also a way of saying that you actually don't have priorities because places are going to shrink or grow simply based on where people retire or leave for other places. So this is where him saying that is what triggered in my mind. They have to be thinking AI. They have to be. With what's just happened in Montreal, this recent announcement, I'm I'm willing to bet the whole kit and caboodle that the provincial government is looking at an AI strategy for the next 5, 10 years, because the way that we're going, unless we spur on these types of transformations and do what we've been doing, people are literally not going to be able to afford paying for the roofs over their homes if we don't kickstart this economy. So let's see what else he said. Grafe also said that Ontario governments already spend less per capita than most other provinces, and audit of the books is unlikely to uncover major waste. Again, like just we do well compared to other provinces on a per capita basis, but our spending still out of control because our population is so big. More likely, he said that is that a public sector consultants will come in away on the services being provided by the government. Guarantee you, any public sector consultant coming in now is going to be touting AI 100%. 100%. The suggestions will be, well, these things are the public sector shouldn't be doing, which again is fine, but that's not about waste. It's about making decisions and what should be public and what should be private. So I do really believe that we're going to see public sectors start to gravitate towards AI technology, just because, like, I mean, a hiring freeze, that's the first step, or at least that's what the companies will tell you in the States. Wow, we're freezing all entry level hiring. Well, why are you doing that? Microsoft, why are you doing that? Fiverr? Oh, well, because we're using AI now. Oh, okay. It's a hard pill for Dougie to swallow in saying that so publicly, just because AI is not so accepted in Canada. But we're gonna come to a point where it's like you don't like it, but what you like really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the young people in this country who actually need these services longer than you will over the course of your lifetime. If do we even want to have young people staying in this country? Most young people are leaving now. If we want to have young people in this country, we need to plan for the future. And that means making hard decisions now on who gets what, who gets hired, what sort of systems get built, and who are we making them for. So, Doug, I pray for you. You got some very difficult decisions ahead, but so do all Canadians. And this is the position that you've inherited from your predecessors, and this is going to be a test of your strength, a test of your wherewithal, a test of your decision making capabilities. And I'm gonna grab the popcorn because I want to enjoy the ride. This I want to keep this one a little bit short. If you like little news cover pieces that I do on just the economy in Canada, again, my name is Alex. I run an AI agency in Toronto. We help businesses, small, medium enterprise, as well as municipalities, transit systems with AI adoption. And so, if your team is literally at the brink where you need to freeze hiring because you're looking at an unsustainable future and you haven't had your AI journey yet, don't hesitate to visit peakdemand.ca, schedule a discovery call. We'll be with you ASAP to see what you have going. Look forward to the next one. Bye now.